I'm Martin and welcome to another great edition for Astronomy for Beginners, and today I'm going to do a product review guide of the latest GP camera part 2. Now, as you can remember from my last video guide on this is basically a beginner or starter level astro camera, which is ideal for beginners and for people who are just starting out into astronomy. It's a good budget style camera, and it's a dual purpose camera. You can use it for many things. You can take great pictures of the stars, the planets, nebula, galaxies, such a wide range of astro objects you can see in the night sky. Again, they do two variants of this camera, and they do a mono and a colour version. This camera is also ideal because its compact size. It is ideally for auto guiding as well. So you can use it for auto guiding in a setup like this. You connect the cameras directly on there. You connect the ST4 lead and the USB, and you can actually, when you mount it on the EQ mount and the telescope setup, you can take longer exposures of deep sky objects, and you can get some really good images from that setup alone. Now, the GP camera is a very cost-effective, low-budget style camera. Now, as I went through the review on part 1, there were a few minor glitches on this camera when it was first launched out. Now, believe it or not, Altair Astro contacted me and they liked the reviewing guide. Now, the reason for this is that they were interested on my views on the camera and my experiences and what were the problems arising. Now, the good thing about this company is that they notified me, and they have now done a few modifications and improvements to this camera to make this camera much better. And I'm glad in a way that there's a company out there that actually listens to us, actually listens to our advice, because at the end of the day, as we're all astronomers in this great hobby, and the influence of our experiences with astro equipment just shows that there are companies out there willing to help us out. So get the most out of our equipment, get the most of what we can do. And basically, Altair Astro have listened to us on our experiences on that. And so what they have done for us is they have developed brand new modifications and products launched for this camera, which is really quite exciting because it just shows that what we're doing in Astronomy for Beginners is quite unique. We have delivered a great deal of information to your guys and girls so that you get the best possible information from us. And again, I really do appreciate there's a lot of hard work and commitment for your guys and girls who take excellent pictures. And the biggest worry or biggest concern for most of us is buying astro gear, and you can buy a lot of this astro gear and it turns out that it's either not necessarily needed or you bought something that's absolutely completely rubbish. However, with this camera, we already described that what this camera can do is really quite impressive. Because it's dual purpose, it does many things you want to do, and what Altair Astro has done is they listened to us and they have now gathered more new bright ideas and new modifications to develop this camera and make it so that you can get the most of this camera. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to take a closer look at the new camera and its new modifications and see what you think. Right, this is the camera, and this is the new design from Altair Astro, the new box. Basically, this is the new variant of the camera, and as you can see, already they've made improvements to the box. In other words, they have added quite a few handy information on there straight away, because the camera not only could be used for astronomy, it could be used for many applications. So basically, this camera being such a dual purpose camera, it can be used for many aspects of any hobbies you desire. So this is not purely just a camera that can just be used for astral imaging. This can be used for many purposes. And already I like how they designed the box and how they have put the information on there, www.camerasaltairastro.com. So basically you can go directly to the website, and if you check on the link on below, alright, you can get access directly to their website. Also, I like how there's an information there that says do not plug in camera until drivers are installed. Basically, it's a good clear warning. Make sure you get all the up-to-date drivers on there, and if you check out this link below, you'll get directed directly to the drivers and all the software you need for this camera. So we're going to take a closer look, and as you can see, as we open the box, they still maintain the good foam insert, which again I like how they've done it. And again, you've still got your ST4 leads and your USB 2 leads. Now the good thing, as I mentioned before on part 1, I do like the idea is they've improved their cables. They're now starting to use the gold tip ends. In other words, that'll be good for connectivity. That is a good connection. So it gives a good connection, and reliable as well. And they clip on beautifully on this camera. Okay, and they clip on, and you can see, very strong, isn't going to come off. So again, I like how, again, they've still maintained their product reliability by providing us with some good cables. And again, even the ST4 lead below, click on there and look at that, really good firm connections there. Okay, so they've still maintained their high quality on their products. So at the moment, this is the original camera that I was initially supplied. Alright, this was before the modifications. Basically, I'm here to demonstrate to you guys and girls that what I'm actually going to demonstrate to you closely on the exact improvements what they've done to this camera, so that when you buy this camera you will get the new extra stuff in there. So the new extra stuff does come with a camera. Now, as I mentioned before, they're supplied with a good dust cap this time, so you can fit over the camera, and also they still maintained the good plug-in cap as well. So they've still got the plug-in cap so you can just uncap it there, and you can still use it for other things. And again, if you put all your adaptions and your accessories on there, like filters, nose pieces, lenses, you can still cap this at this end. Again, that's another improvement already, because they've listened to us, and now they've developed some means of way of security of the camera lens. So you protect the cap and you protect the chip. Now the camera itself is still the same camera. There's still the same specifications. Okay, so there's no actual changes to the camera itself. But what I do like about Altair Astro is they've now developed new extra stuff with the camera. Okay, now, not to dishearten you guys and girls out there that have already purchased this camera and you found out that you haven't got all the accessories. Do not worry about that. You can get the extra stuff that's provided, which I will show you later on, for about £30. So for you guys and girls that bought if you bought the original camera when it first came out, there's still a chance to get the extra stuff for this camera. So don't think that you've been hard done by. You haven't. Altair Astro haven't forgot about you. They have still maintained, you can still get the extra bits for this camera. So we'll take the camera to one side and we're going to show you the extra stuff that was provided in the new package. Then we're going to go into the camera itself. We're going to take out the attachments as necessary. Now, as you can see here, On this camera, you still got the original clear filter attachment. Believe it or not, you can actually, as well as protects the actual sensor from dust and obviously foreign objects that could damage the sensor. Now what Altair Astro have developed now is when you buy the new kit, you'll get an attachment like this. Now basically, if I take this out, this is basically a new improved IR CS filter, and basically what this filter does, it will block out all the UV, the ultraviolet and the infrared light spectrum. So when you're imaging, you won't get any of the interference involved with when you're imaging planets or any deep sky objects. Also, this will announce the detail on the deep sky objects, making this camera a little bit more sensitive. And with this filter, it has a colour balance, Dictronic coatings and AR coatings on both sides. So basically, they've put two different types of coatings at both ends of the lens system. So they've really taken into closer detail into this. So as you can see, it's very good, highly machined CNC aluminium fittings. All right, and a vast improvement over the original IR RV filter. All right, this has a mild coating. I'm not saying it's not a bad setup, but again, if you want to block out the UV and the IR even more, this filter helps a lot. So basically what that does is you just take out the actual original clear filter. Again, the clear filter does have it does have a coating on there, but the coating is not as strong. But this one, it basically screws directly onto the camera like so, and there you go. You can see already, you can see the highly coatings on there. It's really good coatings there. I'm really impressed already from Altair Astro that they've started to listen on our advice, on our experiences on the camera. Now what this will do now is will make the camera a lot more sensitive. It will help optimize the visual wavelengths of a sharp image. So that's what this filter will do. So that's the first initial upgrade of this camera. Also, what I have noticed on this new system is it is actually slightly smaller. Okay, so it's thinner. The lens system goes into the actual filter goes in more closer to the actual sensor, so it uses less space. Okay, so they've improved on that as well. Now I won't recommend that you connect both cameras together because it won't fit. Okay, you can't fit both pieces together. All right, and besides, why would you? Because you're going to lose a lot of the light transmission. So again, you can't fit both filters at the same time. You can still use the plug-in cap itself, all right, if you wish, or you can use the standard dust cap, and again, still a good fit, and they ain't gonna slide off. But we're just gonna use the plug-in one for the time being. As I mentioned before on my last video guide, it came with a 20mm 1.25" C-mount nose piece. So it does come with that, and basically you take out the plug and you screw on. And as you can see there, screws on perfectly. Again, you still can't use the dust cap, but you can use the actual cap they've provided now. So now you can still protect the camera. So when you add on your accessories on there, you can you don't need to take them out. Now also from the last review is that I noticed that the nose piece is too short, and basically what they've done is, because the nose piece is too short, is that basically when you put this on a guide scope, a 50mm guide scope, I noticed on my guide scope I'm using the Orion Starship guider finder scope, and basically it was just enough, and it was just hanging off, literally off the edge. Now what Altair Astro have developed now, basically they've now used an extension, a 5mm nose piece extension. So basically now you can just take that part like so, take the nose piece, connect the 5mm extension like so, and then you can screw that on like so. So that now gives me a much more of an extension already. So now with that extension now, I'm not going to have the camera all the way sticking out. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to prove to you guys and girls and show you how it looks onto the finder scope. So just proves my point. With this extension piece, I can now attach this camera onto my guide scope without the fear of this camera either moving about with flex shear. So it's a lot more secure and more rigid, and basically what that will help improve on the auto guiding of my telescope setup. Right, the last part of the package is this. This is a 2.1 lens system, and it's 1/3 of an inch, and basically this lens system will provide a wide field view of the night sky or whatever you're imaging of 150 degrees. This has a 2.1mm focal length, and it's an f/1.6 focal ratio. This can be used for both types of cameras, for the mono and the color GP cam. It has a focus distance from micro to infinity focus distance, so it's quite variable. You can adjust the actually on the camera itself to adjust the focus on there. Right, it has the latest FMC coatings on there, so it will give you really good light transmission of the night sky or any images you want to look into. This basically clips into the camera itself. Unfortunately, you have to take the nose piece out. So you take out the nose piece, and you have to take out the 5mm extension tube. This will now screw into the back of the existing developed IR or UV filter, and then basically this camera now you can either mount it on a telescope mount or a tripod, and you can take wide field shots of particularly meteors. Now at the moment, November, December is been a good time to take some. There's a few meteor showers that's happening this month. This will give you a very big, wide field of the night sky, so you can get some really good captures of the meteors with this lens system. Also with this lens system, it's not just for capturing meteors, but you can take really good shots of the wide field of the Milky Way, and you can take some star trailing using this camera, as well as using it as you can use it as a wide field camera for normal use. You can also take daytime time lapse or night time lapse applications, so you can use it for time lapsing. So if you're the certain individuals that are interested in time lapsing, you can use this lens system for that as well. So it's really dual purpose lens system. Again, this fits perfectly on the camera, no problems. I like how you can get the double dust caps, so you can protect both sides of the lens system. So I like how they put 2 dust caps so you can protect them. And again, if you haven't got all the stuff, if you can still buy the additional items. You can still get the CS filter and the lens system included with the package. So again, for £30 you will get the wide angle Meteor lens kit. So if you haven't got that set up, you can still order it with Altair Astro, and they can give you the necessary items that you require. Now, also with the lens system, because the lens works pretty well for meteors and time lapses, you can still save stacks of images as files in any formats. In other words, you can save a video that's uncompressed, either an AVI file or a SER file. And the new release of the new update of the Altair Capture software will enable you to play back your images, which is particularly useful for planetary imaging. Also, at the moment, Altair Astro, with their new IR and UV filter system, they currently at the moment they are developing a brand new planetary imaging filter, and this new filter is going to be called the Planet Killer, and it will have a 685 nanometers passband wavelet. This will the other type of filter can be used with the clear filter on the GP CAM mono, and this will help to improve on the images of the planets. So at the moment they're currently developing this brand new filter, so you can use this camera for even detailed images of planets. So look out for that in the near future. Also, another product that they haven't supplied as yet is they developed a 0.5 times reducer, and this can be used for auto guiding or video astronomy or solar imaging. Now the reason this is basically a 0.5 reducer, which is a photical reducer. It decreases the photical length by 50%, and basically what this new reducer will do, it will allow the number of guide stars available in your auto guided field, so you get a vast wide field, so you can pick out more stars without having to move your telescope setup or tweak the guide scope. Also, it allows you to increase the auto guiding frame rate of this camera. It also allows the video astronomers to use shorter exposure duration. So that means with that it will speed up the actual telescope. So if you're imaging with your telescope, you can pick out faint objects, capture the light data quickly in half the time. Also, the 0.5 times reducer will also help to give the full solar disk on your camera sensor. Because of the camera has a small sensor, photo reducer will help to give you the entire disk on the sun, and also with that it will give you a larger field with lunar planetary imaging. And again, this filter will have anti-reflection coatings in all surfaces. It has blackened lens edges to improve contrast, and it will give you really good quality images. So look out for the 0.5 reducer system for this camera. So that's something else to look forward to. They tested this 0.5 reducer, and with that reducer they've used they use a typical f10 telescope, an f10 ratio telescope with the 0.5 distance. Basically, if you use the nose pieces or the attachments and you connect the 0.5 reducer, the closer it is to the sensor will give you a particular photical resolution. If this 0.25 times photical reducer was fitted at 38 millimeters away from the sensor, you'll get a reduction of 0.6, which equates to, on a typical f10 telescope, we'll step it down to f4, making it a very ideal for wide fields of, particularly for taking deep sky objects, big objects like that, and also will boost the contrast. Now, the further away from the if you fit the reducer further away from the sensor, reduce the factor even less. So if you space it out even more, it will then level out to an f10 to an f7.7. So in other words, if you put this distance, this reducer to about 73 millimeters, it will give you a reduced setting of 0.23 times, but it will give you f7.7. So again, it reduces it slightly rather morely. So it will basically reduce it not just half, it will just reduce it to a small amount. So it has varying reducing levels, and it's all just because of just moving the nose piece or a spacer in between the camera to give you desired reduction. Now obviously if you combine the 0.5 to the closest to the sensor, then you get a certain reduction. So that increased reduction will help give you wide fields. And again, that will reduce that to 0.5 reduction, and which will allow 2 times faster exposure times and also video frame rates with a larger field. Alright, so that's what that reducer will do. But unfortunately, I don't have the reducer itself to show you and prove to you. Now, also with this camera, I briefly describe on part 1 of this item. Now basically this is an 1.25 inch polarizing ring, and basically what that does is you can insert the camera, and when you achieve focus you can lock the ring in place so that once you achieve focus on your stars or whatever whatever you're imaging, you can place the ring in place and lock it so that when you reconnect the camera on another night or another day, you will not lose that focus. So you'll get a guaranteed focus on there. Now, unfortunately, through Altair Astro, because of the certain modifications and all that, they can't supply the actual ring itself. Now, you can buy this polarizing ring. You can buy it from Altair Astro, and they can do you a decent deal on, because it's a separate item. And now I can understand why they haven't included the ring, is because of trying to keep the price down on the camera. Again, I did ask the question, say look, it actually is a very handy feature to fit it on there. But they did say, look, you can buy this item, it is a separate item, but we just want to keep the price down, so it's making it ideal for all the newcomers and all the beginners that wanting a dual purpose camera. Because they did say to me that, look, cameras are not cheap, and we want to develop a camera ideally suited for the beginners and for the newcomers. Because again, like they say, is that people don't want to invest in a lot of money for a camera or a certain Astro product. That's the reason they want to maintain that. Now, believe it or not, they said to me that you don't really need the actual polarizing ring, because a lot of their Altair guiding products that they got at the moment, they have got a mini guider that they just launched out, and with that it will have like a new helical focuser on there, and apparently there's just no need for a poor focalizing ring because they lock in place onto their new mini guider, and there's actually no need to adjust the focus on those guiders. So again, they've developed a new finder scope, so you can combine this camera onto their existing guide scope. But if you like me or you like some others, you can buy this as a separate unit. Just contact Altair Astro and they'll send you this item if you want it. But again, they said to me they want to maintain the value of the keep the costs low, so it makes an ideal price for their customers, which is a good thing, because they really are looking closer to this. They really want to make this camera happen for beginners. So again, that's really, I had mixed feelings about that, but again, I'm actually building confidence with Altair Astro, how they approach things. So basically that includes the complete kit. You'll get all these items together with the lens cell and all the leads and all that. You'll get all that together. Again, a massive improvement from the first. And again, do not worry if you don't get that. If you bought the original camera, you can buy the extra pieces required. And believe me, I think it is a good investment to get the extra bits, particularly the IR filter and the lens fitment on there. So you can do many things with it. But again, that's the extra stuff you get in there from the new package. So after that, we're going to go into something that Altair Astro have developed now. Now this is a brand new product, and this is actually a modification for your GP camera. And this is the Altair GP USB cooler module. Very well, nicely engineered, aluminium construction. I love the ionized blue to match with the camera. Love it. And basically, it's what it is. It's a cooling module which you can connect to a USB. In other words, at 5 volts, you can power the cooling system directly onto your computer to cool the camera down to lower the noise on the camera. Now, Altair Astro already told me, because of the chip, produces less noise compared to a lot of entry-level images. They are saying that you do not need a really high-powered fan system to cool it. Now, this fan system, basically, they've provided with a 2.5 meter length cable for starters. Now, what they have done, they have developed a high quality, low vibration, long life fan. It's basically a 40mm fan, and it will provide around about 40 to 50,000 hours of lifespan. So in other words, this is not a cheap fan. They're really looking close into this fan, and it rotates at 40,000 RPMs. At first I was a bit miffed, to say the least, because I didn't think a fan could just rotate at that speed. But basically, when you think about it, when you put a lot of air through aluminium construction, you can see why. So in other words, there's no Peltier cooler in between that. The initial idea for this camera is to reduce noise to an acceptable level to help improve the image quality. So whatever you're capturing an image of planets or deep sky objects, this attachment will help to improve the image quality, help to reduce the noise levels to a manageable level. Now, they explained to me it goes down to about 3.5, between 3 to 5 degrees below ambient temperature. So in other words, this camera will be a little bit cooler, but again, as I'm aware of a lot of nights, particularly in the winter, this camera will get really cold. So again, this will help to even speed up the image quality and reduce that horrible noise that you get in your images. So a really nice little feature they developed. Now, just be aware that if you do buy this item, it does cost £25, but that's including VAT. So basically you get the whole package, on there, okay, and it's easy to assemble, really easy. And basically you'll have at the back, there is a thermal sticker, adhesive sticker. In other words, if I take this sticker apart like so, basically it's got a thermal sticker, so you don't lose the cooling properties. Basically, you take out the cap and you connect the camera. You slot the camera in place through the recess and you stick it in place like that. So you stick the camera like that, and that basically gives you the fixture. Now, allow that to set before you use him. Also, when you first use the camera, before you plug the USB cable for the fan unit, just be aware just to adjust these screws here. Okay, now the reason behind that is you can actually adjust the gap between the fan and the aluminium heatsink. So again, top tip, loosen the screws slightly, because what I found is that the actual fan blades were fouling aluminium heatsink. So again, slacken these slightly and then before you try it. Okay, and that's what they advised me. And basically what this fan will do will cool the camera, and again that will improve the noise. Pretty cool little fixture. And the good thing about this is I noticed where they designed that camera is on the side here, it's not sticking out at one end, and basically that might affect the balance on there, which you don't want. So again, they've put it together in a oneer, and the good thing is once you fit the camera on there, there's just no need to take it apart. You can if you want. There's no hardship. The camera, if you make a mistake or you want to remove the camera, you can always take it apart. The good thing about this camera, because of the high RPMs, the 40,000 RPMs fan will be able to cool the camera down around 2 minutes. So something really good about this camera. You can cool down, and again, it's something to think about over Christmas. It's an ideal Christmas stocking filler. So again, if you're interested in buying one of these, by all means feel free. But we are going to test this camera. I'm going to prove if it does work, just to make sure that if this camera works, we'll be testing this out to prove a point and to see wherever the image quality has improved a bit. So again, look forward on the next stage. So we're at my Equinox 66 imaging setup, and we've taken a closer look on the actual camera itself. And as you can see, with the cooling mod, you can see it's nicely packed onto the camera, so it's not in the way of the cables, so it's not going to get caught up in there. This camera is now fitted with the improved IR and UV filter system on there, with the 5mm extension tube, as you can see here on that part there, and the 20mm nose piece. Already is, if I can give that a little bit of a jiggle, yeah, that's a lot more secure. Also, the camera is closer in towards the guide scope itself, so it's now not exposing at all, so it's at a much manageable level. So at the moment, already impressed with the improvements. So now what we're going to do now, we've got the Altair Astro camera pointing at a tree line which is around about 8 kilometers away from my location, and basically I'm going to activate Altair Capture, which is a good imaging capture software. And again, the camera is already detected, so you click on the setup. And wow, I'm already focused, which is quite impressive. I mean, this is the tree line which is miles away from my location, and already I'm focused, which just proves that that spacer unit has helped a lot. And I can up the gain to give you to give the exposure time. You can adjust the exposure times and all that. Now at the moment I'm trying to activate the fan electronically through the Altair Capture software, but because this is an older update, I reckon this function will be available, so the fan will be you'll be able to switch off the fan on and off on the camera. Now this is just a live shot, but what we're going to do is so then we're back to Altair Capture, and what we're going to do is test the GP cam for noise. Now expect to see some noise on this camera. This is just a basic beginner's camera, and you will get some noise or hot pixels in the image. Basically what I've done is I've set up my guide scope with the camera, and I basically put a lens cap over the guide scope, and basically what we're doing is we're taking as if we're taking a dark exposure. Now when you take darks, you will get a level of noise or pixels within that image. Now this is just completely normal for every camera, but basically what we're trying to do is we're going to test the amount of noise in the camera. Now what I've done, I've set the exposure time as if I'm taking a deep sky object, and I've basically whacked it up to the maximum of 13 minutes and 20. And basically this is the actual camera now at the moment. As you can see here at the bottom, at 11:39 seconds, this is the exposure it's doing. Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're waiting until it takes that initial capture shot, and with that shot is that we'll come back after the timer is set down to show you how bad the noise is. Now the camera is basically, the fan is not connected to the camera, so it's switched off. So this is basically, we're testing the actual electronics of the camera without the fan operating. So what we're doing is we're testing the amount of level of noise. After we've got a exposure, now this is a room temperature of around 16 degrees in room temperature, and basically what I'm going to do is, once I've taken the exposure, we can now find out how bad the noise is. Then we'll do another test, and basically with that test is we'll connect the fan to the computer, activate the fan, and then we'll do the test again, set to the maximum exposure time, and then we'll check the level of noise. Bear in mind that this is tested in a warm room. Now if you set this up outside, the level of noise will be a lot more reduced. So because the camera is designed to be used at the moment, we've got a bit of bad weather, so I'm unable to test the camera outdoors. But it doesn't matter, all we're proving is to prove that the fan works, and basically to test the performance of the camera under extreme conditions. So after 13 minutes and 20 seconds, and you can see now already there's the noise. You can see the noise, it's very pixelated, and yeah, it's quite unbearable. But don't forget, we are actually pushing the camera up to its limits. Now ideally, when you're using if you're taking pictures of deep sky objects, usually you only need between 5 minutes to 10 minutes exposure times. So we're just basically, what we're doing is just checking the amount of noise on this camera. What we're going to do is we're going to connect the fan via the computer, and then we're going to test the noise reduction from there and see if there is a notable gain on improvement. So that's what we're now going to connect the cooling module via this long cable, USB cable, 2.5 meters, connect it to the computer itself. Right, that is now the fan connected, and you can see there's a mild hum, but it's very manageable. It's quite low noise. So it's rotating around about 40,000 RPMs, and what that's doing is, according to the specifications, this is cooling the camera around 2 minutes. But what we're trying to prove is prove to you guys and girls that this mod works. You don't want to go out there and waste your money. I'll show you now that Astro have tested this camera out. Don't expect massive gains. This is only a mild mod that will help the camera. We'll now wait for its exposure and see what happens. So now the camera's fan has been running and it's just done its exposure, and as you can see now, there is still noise there, but there is a big difference. There's a lot less pixels in that image, and don't forget that this camera is used indoors. Now if I was mount this outside, then there'd be a lot less of these pixels, and already I can see all the dark patches in the actual image where it's getting darker and there's a lot less pixels, which proves to me that the actual cooling module works. So there you have it. As we look at the images, you can tell a difference using this cooling module. You can tell the difference between without it and with it, and you can see a noticeable gains from this modification. Now again, it's available. It will be available at Christmas time, this modification, hopefully. £25 it costs. My opinion of this, it's a good little setup. For £25, it's really good. Build quality is really good. I've not seen a cooling module for any starter camera that I've seen on the Astro market, and this has been like one of the first ones to be introduced for the beginner, for the newcomer. And again, it works quite well. There are a few flaws with it. Okay, you have to make sure that you have to adjust the screws first when you use it, because what happens, the fan gets trapped between the heatsink, so you have to adjust the gap. Also, a bit of a flaw is the cable. Yeah, the securing cable here is hanging a bit loose. It could just do with being secured a little bit more from this point. But other than that, the adhesive, thermal adhesive tape holds the camera in place. You can always take it apart regardless, and you can fit it to another camera, for example. Also, I do like the added extra modifications to improve the camera. I do like the 5mm extension tube as well, so you can fit it to different type of guide scopes. Just don't forget, different guide scopes have different focal lengths of focal ratios. So again, getting the right sort of focus. And as you can see on my 9x50 finder, as you've seen it off on part 1, it really did stick out quite a bit, and it also was almost at a point hanging off. With this new modification they've designed, they've done the IR and the UV filter. They push the filter in a way so the filter goes in a bit, and I like how now you can increase the gap of the nose piece, making it much more compact as it slides in place. The good thing really, what I have found out, is where the 5mm marking is here, it's that designed that well that I can actually use that where this 5mm marking is there. It's already marked and I'm already focused. So they've designed it purposely for the 9x50 finder. No, I'm not guaranteed that all 9x50 finders are going to work the same way. But again, this extension piece helps, makes the camera a lot more rigid. And as you can see, look, I'm shaking this, and this is fixed. There's no flexure, and you don't want flexure in your image train, particularly when you're guiding, because you want your guide scope to be rigid. You know, that rigid that you can move the entire telescope mount and the setup together. So you want it very rigid. And again, it's held quite good, and they've really improved on this camera so far. Unfortunately, I have been unable to do any auto guiding or any diesel imaging to try and test this camera, because weather's not been great. If you're the people who live in the UK, you can see my frustration, because in the UK the weather has been absolutely appalling. But however, so far, that where I've seen with the cameras performing already, I have got every confidence that this camera will perform to the standard as designed. Again, thanks to Altair Astro for providing me a camera for me to test with the latest new modifications. I'm very privileged to the fact that I want to share, and they want to share, their ideas across. I'm a big believer that there should be budget equipment for the newcomers, for the beginners. And this is what Altair Astro are now concentrating on. They're concentrating on the lower level people on a limited budget, which I strongly agree that it should be made cheaper. It should be available to everyone to use. And it doesn't even matter if it's for newcomers. This starter camera is perfect for an auto guider, for even the most experienced astrophotographers out there. Don't forget, this camera is dual purpose, but don't get me wrong, Altair Astro share the same vision as us. We want to make Astro equipment available to the beginners, to get people interested into astronomy. Because the whole idea to get people interested is to expand their interest, and by doing that is making equipment easy to use within budget, and get people interested, so that when the interest grows on them and they do like to take even further afield into astronomy, then they might go and get more advanced. The good thing about this camera, despite the size of it, you can actually, with the lens system, you can still use this camera and mount it on a basic tripod and take time lapses of the night sky. You could take meteor showers. You could do a lot of things with this camera. But don't forget, this camera doesn't have to be purely for astronomy. It can be used for something else. So that's what makes it more appealing. There's a lot of people out there who do not want to invest in a lot of money. Bear in mind, there are loads of accessories for it that's coming out for it. So keep your eyes open. So if you want to click on Altair Astro's website, here's the website below. So thanks again, thanks for watching, and clear skies to you all.